Okay, you guys, so we are going to start our debriefing now. You had about 30 minutes to complete that scenario, and you guys did that within time. But before we get into it, I just want you guys to understand that we did sign that confidentiality agreement, that whatever we say in debriefing stays in debriefing, right? Everybody agrees with that. This is a respectful, safe learning environment, so whatever we say, it's to be with just pure professional demeanor, and that we're all learning on the same level. Wouldn't you agree with that? Okay, we all learn at different paces, but we're still entry-level nursing here, all right? So to begin, let's go through kind of how you guys felt the scenario went.
It's funny.
Like a disaster.
Yeah.
I think
I agree.
disaster sums it up.
Disaster?
Yeah.
I was so scared and I just panicked. I was so afraid of looking like a dummy. I just didn't do anything. And then I ran away at the end. Why did I run away
Okay.
from my patient?
Okay. Anything else?
I feel like we kept talking as if the patient
wasn't there.
Yeah,
We were like talking to each other like the patient wasn't even there. And
Okay.
I don't know, I was kind of nervous. Like some of the stuff, like I kind of knew what to do and say, and then sometimes I was just like, "Hey, what am I supposed to do?" You know?
Needed some maybe team
Yeah.
assistance or something? Yeah.
It's hard to talk to that dummy like it's a person.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I just couldn't, get my mind off that all the urine in the floor, and then I kicked it over.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Well,
a mess.
well, we'll talk about these things, okay? And everything that you guys are feeling right now is completely normal, okay? You have high emotions during these scenarios, so this is the time to get it out so that we can focus on what really happened and then to make those improvements, okay? Are you guys ready to watch your video?
Oh, goodness.
All right.
No, not really.
Okay. And remember, when
It
we're
must be
watching our,
destroyed after.
we will destroy. That's right.
For confidentiality
For
purposes.
confidentiality purposes. That's exactly correct. That was on your confidentiality statement. So when we watch this, you guys have your evaluations in front of you, and you guys are going to see if you met those expected outcomes. Okay, and this is based on your learning objectives as well as your pre-simulation assignment to get you prepared for this scenario. So there's no surprises in this scenario whatsoever, okay? So we'll use that form while you guys watch your video. I just want y'all to focus in on the learning objectives today, though. So we'll go back to what we stated in pre-briefing. I don't want you guys to get over concerned with what your hair looked like and what you did or didn't do. I want you guys to focus on those learning objectives, okay? So once again, number one, provide individualized patient-centered nursing care for the patient who's experiencing respiratory distress. Demonstrate critical thinking and decision-making as evidenced by recognizing abnormal findings. And then number three, prioritize and implement appropriate nursing interventions when caring for the patient experiencing respiratory distress. All right, so remember, those are the things we want you guys to focus on when you watch your video, okay? All right, so we've just watched our video. So you guys have completed your evaluation forms, okay? So you saw what expected behaviors we have. But let's go with our assessment nurse, okay? So you were focused on the simulator, right?
Yeah.
You were kind of focused on those lung sounds predominantly.
I tried to, but at first I couldn't really hear anything, and then whenever I did, it wasn't really lung sounds. It just kind of sounded like a motor running or like a buzzing, humming noise. I don't know.
Okay, so it was kind of difficult to really hear what those lung sounds were. Okay, and that's reasonable. I mean, I know simulated sounds can be really difficult to hear, all right? But what else were you seeing in the situation at the time? When you walked in, what else were you gathering?
He wasn't wearing his oxygen.
Okay.
His O2 sat was pretty low,
Okay.
and he was kind of gasping for air
Okay. Yeah.
and telling us I can't breathe.
All right. So you had some good objective data and then subjective data too. Okay. And then think about when you guys are in the clinical situation. I know you guys haven't started clinicals just yet, but think about these patients. They have their call light. Usually their call light might have the TV control in it, and the volume can be really loud. When you're listening to lung sounds and your patient is talking, do you think that's going to interrupt your assessment? Yeah. So think about what's the best way you can get this patient prepared to make sure you do an accurate assessment. Because some of these things can happen in real life too. You know, we have this simulator that it may be difficult to hear sounds, but this can also happen in real life too. What are some things you guys think you could do?
I'm gonna ask him to turn the TV off.
Absolutely. Just for a minute, we'll turn it right back on.
Just not to talk.
Yeah,
Not to talk.
educate him on what you're about to do and what you need him to do.
Good, good. So part of your fundamentals is what? Explain, everything to the patient, explain the procedure, then the patient knows how to participate, right? Absolutely, okay. So let's think about your situation, Courtney. This is something that you addressed at the beginning of debriefing, that you just kind of panicked and you froze up, right? So, you seemed hesitant to intervene, all right? But the patient's oxygen level was still declining without that nasal cannula. So what was kind of running through your mind as you were standing there?
The only thing I could think about was not making myself look stupid. And so then I physically couldn't move. 'Cause I was so afraid of doing something and doing it wrong and it be recorded forever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And think about what you would do differently. I mean, everybody is in a learning situation. Once again, with that confidentiality statement, we don't, show these videos to other people. This is just for your private learning experience. If you could go back in and take away that anxiety, what would you do differently? How would you see it in your
I would
head?
do something.
Do something.
I would try to focus on, when you enter the room, to look at the patient and see, is there something physically wrong that I can fix that will help a lot of these problems that he's having.
Good, good. So, with being anxious, walking into a patient's room, it's a lot for a brand new student. I mean, you guys are taking care of real lives. That's why we do simulation, right? So you guys can practice. And when we say safe learning environment, it's not just for your psychological safety, that we are not going to ridicule you. You guys are intelligent students and we want you to succeed. And in the end, take care of patients and they have positive patient outcomes because you practice in sim lab. But it's also safe for you as well, okay? That you can keep practicing without hurting the patient or hurting your future license, okay? So think about, as a new student, you walk in and you have the nursing process. You remember the nursing process? This is part of your fundamentals. What's the first part of that nursing process? Remember ADPI? Assessment. So what did you just say?
Assess, look at them.
Look at the patient. Yeah. So you kind of use that as a tool next time you walk in. And then maybe you can intervene a little bit more instead of feeling removed and not knowing what to do. Okay, so it sounds like you knew what to do, but just fear kind of took over. Good. All right, and so I know our documenter, Creighton, you really had to clean up that urine, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sort of a tedious kind of, like, want to keep it clean and safe environment kind of person.
That's a good
And then I
thing.
kicked it over and it just made a bigger mess.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
and I just wanted it to be all clean. I didn't want that pee on my shoes.
Okay. Well, I see how that can be potentially hazardous too, right? Thinking about like a fall risk, and you almost fell in it, so that's the situation here. But then again, thinking about the patient though, this is a respiratory patient. Patient's oxygen saturation continue to fall. They could get a further hypoxic. They could have change in level of consciousness or lose consciousness, right? And so think about, what would your priorities need to be if we could do this over again?
Documenting that his SpO2 was low,
Yeah.
and what changes we did, put that into the computer,
Okay. Very good. All right. What else were you seeing? You were a documenter, but then think about maybe helping out your team. Sometimes you can step out of your role if needed. So what would you want to do? What were you seeing in that situation besides the hazard spill on the floor?
I guess, the guy was lying flat for a long time, and
Yes.
he kept saying he couldn't breathe. So, and I know if you raise their bed up, they can breathe better.
Very good, good. And how do they breathe better? Think back to your pre-simulation assignment. Why is positioning so important for these patients?
It keeps weight off their chest.
Okay.
And helps relieve some of that, so they can take deeper breaths.
Good. Help facilitate that deep breathing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The
Good
best
job.
position for lung expansion is to be sitting at half hours.
High Fowlers, excellent.
That's the word I
Yes.
was looking for.
Good, high Fowlers, yeah, that medical terminology we want to use, excellent. All right, and then our charge nurse, last but not least.
Yes.
How did it go?
Well, it could have gone better.
Okay.
I was kind of nervous when I went in. I could kind of tell there was something wrong.
Yeah.
Because, he said he couldn't breathe and his oxygen saturation was down. So
Mhm.
I think I was just kind of hesitant to, not do the wrong thing, so I had to sit and think through what I needed to do to like help him. So
Okay.
it took a minute.
All right. And you know, simulation experiences can be really nerve-wracking, okay, especially as you guys progress. We do simple to complex, okay? But what I saw was that you place oxygen on the patient, and then you eventually elevated the head of the bed to greater than 30 degrees, and then you even increased a little bit more based on your evaluation. So you follow that nursing process. And then that significantly improved the patient's respiratory status. So help me understand why you selected that strategy. Why did you just select those nursing interventions?
To help my patient.
To help your patient? Okay. There's always a
That's
rationale, right?
Right.
Right. So what did you do first?
I put the oxygen on his nose.
Okay.
And then I raised the head of the bed.
Okay.
So that all that oxygen that was going in his nose could go in his lungs.
Good, good, excellent.
I think I probably could have done it the other way around, but
Or at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt to do things simultaneously, right?
Yep.
And you as charge, think about, you have your team here you could delegate to. How could you delegate to your team? Kind of practice that dialogue.
no. You raised the head of the bed while I put the oxygen on or
Mhm.
something.
Okay.
I tried to get Courtney to come out of the corner, but she wouldn't.
Okay.
She wouldn't come out of the corner.
Okay. And then think about when we talk about our communication skills with our team, we always talk about closed loop communication. Do y'all know the difference between the closed loop and open loop? When we just tell the patient, you're shaking your head, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. How can we delegate using closed loop communication?
Closed loop communication, you like actually give a role to someone,
Okay.
and it has to be specific and defined.
Good.
So there can't be like any deviation from that task.
Mhm. Good.
Open loop is just like, hey, can you look at that patient or something? And
Okay.
it can be like open to interpretation.
Good. And then for anybody, right? So it's not direct. Very good. So in stressful situations, you know, maybe pointing to your fellow peer and saying, so-and-so, calling them by name, I need you to do this. And then the task isn't questioned, right? Because it's a specific task assigned to a specific person, okay? And so we'll, you know, get more used to these roles as you guys do simulation. So kind of summarize what happened with this patient today from the beginning to the end. Give me a summary.
We walked in, and he was obviously in distress, coughing.
Okay.
HSAT was low. We waited a long time before we did an intervention, but I think that was just because we were all so unsure.
Okay.
We're also more focused on
Yeah.
ourselves. Like, I have to do hand hygiene. I have to put gloves on. I have to do
Okay.
this instead of
And yeah,
talking to the patient and figuring
Yeah.
out what the problem was.
And we're taught about all the time, enforced, keep the room clean, make sure there's nothing in the floor. And so I think that's where, you know, you can get focused on the things you get tested on, I guess.
Mhm.
And then, but once Amanda started putting interventions into place, and you see, okay, he is getting better, and this is what you do when this happens.
Good, good, excellent. That's a very good summary. So kind of, well, think about some takeaway points. You know, think about you guys are going into the clinical situation very soon. You guys are going to be taking care of real patients this time. So what are some takeaway points from your personal experience with this simulation? What do you want to do differently to make sure you are prepared going into the real clinical situation?
It's not that big of a deal, but I think we should have lifted the bed so we weren't like
Good.
laying over him.
Good, good. So we think about patient safety, right, fall prevention, but this is our career. We have to take care of patients for maybe 12 hours, right, multiple times a week, all different shapes and sizes. So make sure you take care of your back. It's a very good takeaway point.
Also, I think treat him more like a human and less like a project.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And that goes back to what you had stated earlier in debriefing. It's hard to communicate with a plastic mannequin, right? But this is kind of where we have to suspend that disbelief. We walk in and we have to really think that this is someone we care about, and that's just going to add to that realistic learning environment. So I know it's kind of weird pretending, but it's really going to make things a lot easier for you guys when you walk into a real patient's room. Okay, you'll have kind of that dialogue and that script ready to go. Yeah, excellent. Any other summaries or takeaways?
We need to tell them what we're doing. I noticed that I
Explain
just
the
like
procedure.
started listening to his breath sounds, but I didn't tell him, hey, I'm going to listen to you.
Good.
I'm going to lift your gown up. I just did it.
Good. Excellent.
Surprise.
Good. All right. So we have a little bit time left in our debriefing. You know, we'll do our simulation surveys at the very end, but we do have time to repeat the scenario. Do you guys feel prepared to take what we learned in debriefing and practice one more time? This is where we practice not only our communication skills, but also our technical skills as well, applying the nasal cannula, you know, controls of the bed and the monitor. You guys ready for that?
I need to redeem myself.
Reading yourself? Okay, all right, so let's do it again.
Okay.
Give me up.